Hello, grade 6 students. So this is 2024 March first semester examination. Before starting the paper discussion, I have something to share with you because this is the first semester examination you are going to face after you come to the middle school. So far, you had the semester examinations when you were in the primary school, but that the structure and the way the exams were conducted is a little bit different from the middle school. So then I know that you have kind of an excited feeling when you get ready for the exam, but I will help you there. So then I will share a few tips so then how you can sit for this first semester examination with a confident mindset. So then first of all, we will go through the paper structure. You can see here, they have mentioned how you can get the marks. So then you can see the right hand side they have given you the marks allocation. For the paper, you get the 95 marks and the handwriting 5 marks. Altogether, it is 100 marks. And I want to say, so this handwriting 5 marks, it's not that the kind of that you are writing nice handwriting. No, that it's not that the just looking at the handwriting, but it's overall that the neatness, how you have shown the workings, and how simply how you present the answers. So that is all about the handwriting 5 marks. And when you get the paper, so you want to fill the initial, the blanks that you have the class, maybe 6A, 6B, then your candidate names, that means your full name, and the date, that means the date you have the exam, right? So then the next one, your admission number. First you fill all these things, right? So then we will move to the instruction column, right? So the instructions to the candidate. So you want to keep a practice to read the instructions clearly before you start the paper, right? Sometimes you might think, no, I did few past papers, so then I know that what to do. Therefore, I don't need to read the instruction. That is a wrong concept you are going to have because that each year the paper is set by different examiners. We don't know that the what kind of instructions they are going to introduce this time. Therefore, whenever you are trying to do a paper, maybe you have done so many past papers, so then you think that I'm familiar with this structure, but whatever it is, when you get a new paper, read the instructions carefully because we don't know whether this paper is set by the previous examiner or a new examiner. If it is a new examiner, he or she might have included new instructions. Answer all the questions on the spaces provided in this paper and show your workings where necessary, right? So then we will move to part 1. In this video, I'm planning to discuss only the part 1 because if I discuss the whole paper, so then it will be kind of a lengthy video. So then it might be boring for you to watch. So first we will do the part 1 and then I will release the part 2. That likewise, I'm planning to release 2023 paper part 1 and part 2, 2022 paper part 1 and part 2. So please be in touch. If you have not subscribed my channel, so you can subscribe and click the bell icon. So whenever I release a new video, you can get the notification. Right. Okay. So straight away, we'll move to the part 1 now. You want to write as a fraction in its lowest term. Pute, when you have a question like this, so what we want to do, we want to understand, so what kind of questions. So then they are checking your knowledge with the decimal and the fraction. So here we have one decimal place. When we have one decimal place, but how we are going to write this as a fraction, and 8 is in the 10th place. If it is in the 10th place, I should write this 0.8 should be equal to 8 over 10. But we have another instruction. You want to write as a fraction and you want to write it in its lowest term. So that means you want to get the simplest version of this. When you're simplifying something, what does that mean? You're making it smaller. If you want to make something smaller, what we need to do? We want to divide. Divide that here. We want to divide both the numerator and the denominator by the same number. If you are thorough with the multiplication table, sometimes you take the big numbers and straight away divide. But if you are not thorough that much, you can do this step by step. That's totally fine, right? Sometimes you have to divide it by 2. Again, you have to divide by 2. Again, you have to divide by 2. That's totally fine. So then the marker or the teacher doesn't worry about the number of steps you have followed to get the simplest version as far as you have taken the correct answer. So then you can use whatever the method you prefer to have based on your multiplication table knowledge and the practice. Now here I divide both the numerator and the denominator by 2. So then it gives me 2 times 4, 8 and 2 times 5, 10. So can I simplify this further? No, I can't simplify. Therefore, my answer is 4 over 5, right? 4 over 5, right? So then you can show it like this. Right. Another thing you can follow, children, that here we have a small space in the right side, this area, that whatever the workings you can do that area too. Right. So then the next one, you want to write this as a decimal, right? You want to write this as a decimal. Now you can see that it's the 7/10. That means this 7 should be in the 10th place when you are writing it as a decimal. So then I write it as 0.7, right? If need, you can write the 7 over 10 as we have enough space here. 7 over 10 is equal to 0.7, right? And the next one you want to add when they have given a question like this, we know we want to rewrite it vertically 1.1 and 2.2. Here, children, this is an easy question, right? Because that you have one decimal place and one decimal place. Sometimes you come across with the questions that the one item is one decimal place, the other item is two decimal places. In that case, how we are going to write. For an example, if I take 1.1 and you want to add 2.32, something like this. Now, how we are going to write this in the vertical format? First, you write 1.1 and you want to be mindful that the decimal place should be in one line. And you write it like this too. And then you write 3 here, then you write 2 here. When you're trying to add, you feel that this place is a blank. So then I use a 0 here. Then I can do the addition like this, right? So that is how it works when you have the different decimal formats. But in this question, we don't want to worry because both the numbers are having the same number of decimal places. Therefore, I can just add it. So then what will be the answer? It is 3.3. So then what I do here, I put the equation mark and I write 3.3 here. Always show your workings and get the final answer, right? So you want to have a practice how you are going to manage the spaces given here, right? So it's kind of a very limited space. You might think that when you are doing something in your writing book or the exercise book, you have enough spaces. But here it's kind of a talent how you are going to manage the spaces given. It's also a talent when it comes to the exam condition. Right, so then we will go to the second question. Right, before moving to the second question, you just see, I'm just looking at whether I have done. Quickly, you go through, and when you're going through your answers for the second time, you just imagine you are checking someone else's answers, right? If you are thinking that, okay, I'm checking my answers, I did it in the correct way, you can't find the mistakes. But if you are looking at someone else, you didn't know that how he or she did the paper, and you are checking as a teacher, then only you can identify the mistakes you have done. So then before moving to the second question, I'll take a few seconds and quickly go through 0.8 and it should be 8 over 10 and simplify 2 times 4, 8, 2 times 5, 10. Okay, that is done. 7 over 10. So I have only one zero over that means it is 7/10. So that means the 7 should be in the 10th place and one decimal place as we have one zero here. 0.7, that is done. Then whether I have written the decimal numbers correctly? Yes. So then the 1 plus 2, 3, 1 plus 2, 3. So then that is done. Then I can move to the second question. So then the second question, again, they have given few numbers to add. So then you have 1 and 2 and 3, right? So then see the way I'm writing the numbers. Always when you are writing the numbers in the vertical format, keep their place values correctly. Otherwise, you would get something else, right? So then 1 is in the unit place, 2 is in the unit place. In 13, 3 should be in the unit place. You write everything and here you show that what you are doing here. 3 plus 2, 5. 5 plus 1, 6. So then here 16. So then you write the answer here, put the equation mark 16 here. The next one, you want to do the subtraction. So then you can do it like this, 0.98 and 0.6. Now, can you see? You have the first item, you have the 2 decimal places, and then you have the 1 decimal place. So then how I wrote it? That you can see the 2 decimal places are in one line, and there is a blank. So then you can fill that blank if you really need with a 0, like this, right? So then you can do the subtraction. Here it is a subtraction that you want to write it. So then you write 8 minus 0, it is 8. And 9 minus 6, it is 3. And 0.38, right? So then you double check before moving to the next one, whether I did it correctly or not. So then it should be 0.38, that is correct. Therefore, I come here, right? I put the equation mark and I write the answer is 0.38. Now you can see they have allocated 4 marks. Why they have allocated 4 marks for this kind of small addition and subtraction, you can see. So then definitely that you 1 mark for this and the other mark for this, and 1 mark for this and the other mark for this. Now you can see the importance of the workings. If let's say that you do your workings on a rough sheet and straight away you transfer the 16 and 0.38 straight away, and that you go home and proudly and then you convey the message, Mama, I did the paper, that it was very easy, but when you receive the paper, you don't have the marks. Why? That you have not followed the instructions and that you have not noticed the number of marks they have allocated for each question, right? So then definitely if it is 4 marks, so then it should be 2 marks and 2 marks. How the 2 marks uh, uh, will be allocated? 1 mark for the workings and 1 mark for the final answer, right? So then we are done with the second question. Then we will move to the third question, right? So then the third question, you want to write this as a mixed number. So then 68 over 5, that means I want to divide 68 by 5, right? So then what happened? 5 times 1, it is 5. So then the 1 remainder, I bring this 8 down. So then 18, 5 times 3, 15, and 3 remainder. Now how I'm going to write the answer? Here put the equation mark 13 and keep this in your mind when you're writing the line. It should be like this in the middle. Because some students, they write, I will show you what's the mistake you are doing, and 3 over 5, right? So then some students, they write it like this. This is their mixed number. So it's kind of for me 133 over 5. Or else sometimes they write it like this, right? So it's not clear that where you want to keep the whole number. The whole number always you want to keep in the middle. And when you are drawing the line of the fraction, exactly it should be from the middle point of the whole number. That is how it works. And if you really want to check that whether you did it correctly, you just see 13 times 5, it is 65. And 65 plus 3, it gives me 68. That means my answer is correct. Right. So then that is done. Then we will move to the finding the smaller fraction. Okay, here I want to explain you one thing. Now here also that I forgot to mention, you can see this is the final answer. This is the working. That is how these 2 marks works, right? So then you want to have an idea when you are doing the past papers. Sometimes you are doing past papers and checking with the answers because nowadays you have the marking scheme also in the system. So you just do it and that you just think, okay, I have got the answer and I can mark it as correct. But you want to show the workings and you just see that if need, you can show it. So this 13 you bring here, right? And this 3 here, the remainder, and the 5 will be here, right? So then I am moving to the next question. So that is finding the smaller fraction. Okay, when you are finding the smaller fraction, let's say for an example, I have 2 over 7 and 5 over 7. Let's say, and I'm asking which is bigger. Obvious, you might say that the 5 over 7 is bigger, right? So then the 2 over 7 is smaller. Why that you can tell it straight away because both the fractions are having the same denominator. If both of them have the same denominator, we don't want to worry. Straight away, we can write the answer that the 2 and 5. So then looking at the 2 and 5, 5 is bigger. So then straight away, we can find what is bigger and what is smaller. But in this question, we don't have that opportunity because the two different denominators. In that case, what we need to do, we find the LCM of 3 and 4, right? We find the LCM of 3 and 4. I don't spend time to calculate the LCM by now after doing so many sums. Now you have spent almost 6 months in the grade 6 class. Now you know how to do and what to do. So then 3 and 4, the LCM, model over common multiple is 12. So then what I do, children, I write that the here, put the arrow because I can't use the equation mark here, that I write the two fractions like this with the denominator 12, right? With the denominator 12, that you just see how I'm going to convert 3 into 12. I multiply by 4. If I'm doing something to the denominator, I want to do the same thing in the numerator. 3 times 4, 12. So then 2 times 4, 8. That is how it works. The same way I see how I'm going to convert 4 into 12. I should multiply by 3, right? So I want to do the same thing, that the 3 times 3, 9. Now you have the same denominator 12. Looking at the numerator value, you can find what is bigger and what is smaller. So then straight away you can see the 9 over 12 is bigger. But that means 8 over 12 is smaller. But let's say you are going to show that 8 over 12 is smaller, you don't get the marks. Why? In the question, we don't have 8 over 12 children. We do have something else. So then you want to write therefore, these are the 3 dots we use to tell the therefore. Then you write 8 over 12. That means what is the relevant, the fraction for 8 over 12? So this is the relevant fraction, right? So then this is the link, right? Therefore, I write 2 over 3 is the smaller fraction. 2 over 3 is the smaller fraction. But they always see that when I'm writing the answers, or I'm doing the paper discussion, I'm doing this keeping something in my mind that I think I'm the grade 6 student and I'm doing my examination and that this is what I want to do if I want to get the highest marks, right? So that mindset always keep it, that you also keep that in your mind. So then what I'm doing, so then I write everything possible and I show my teacher, I know the concept. This is, I decided it. So this is what I did. Show everything in your answer script. That you might think, teacher, when I'm showing all these things, it takes time that how I'm going to do that. So then that is called the practice. When you practice, so then it doesn't take much at all, much time at all. But here that I take sometimes 20 minutes or 30 minutes, But I'm explaining you when I'm doing it without talking and without explaining anything. I can do this quickly, but here that I'll explain you the tips and the concepts and any other possible questions related to this. So then it takes time. But if you are doing it alone, that it doesn't take that much of time if you have the practice, right? So then we will move to the next one. So then it is the long multiplication. So then I write 25 and 23 like this, and I put the equation mark. The first I want to multiply 25 by 3, right? So then 3 times 5, 15, 1 remainder, 3 times 2, 6, plus 1, 7, right? Then 25 I need to multiply by 2. So then 2 is in the tens place. Keep that in your mind. I know some students that they get this wrong because they don't have the concept in their mind. Or else some students, they just do it like parrots. So then 25 you multiplied by 3 and I started writing the answers from the ones place because 3 is in the ones place. But when I'm multiplying 25 by 2 children, so then 2 is in the tens place. Therefore, I should start writing my answers in the tens place, right? So then 2 times 5, 10, 1 remainder like earlier, 2 times 2, 4, 4 plus 1, 5. So then I write it like this. Then I want to add them. When I'm adding, I told you, if you need that, you can put a 0 here. It doesn't matter. So then you add 5 and 7 and 5. So you get the answer, and meantime you double check whether you get the correct answer. Maybe that you are spending 2 seconds, 3 seconds, but those 2 to 3 seconds will be added something to your marks. Maybe that you might have done a careless mistake. So always, before moving to the next question, please double check your answers, right? Because the later that most of the teachers and most of the people, they are talking that you can double check your answer later after completing it. But what I recommend, double check it then and there, because after doing the whole paper, sometimes you can't remember that how you got the answer. Therefore, better to double check then and there and move that. You can't spend much time and you cannot stuck with one particular question. You want to move quickly, but you want to have that practice. So then I write here, the answer is 575. Okay. So then I move to the next one. So then it's just a simple subtraction. 684. So then I write 497, right? So then you want to subtract this, right? So then if, you want to deduct 7 from 4. You can't do that. You borrow 1 from the neighbor. That becomes 14. 14 minus 7, it is 7. And now here we don't have 8, we have 7. From 7, you can't deduct 9. Therefore, we also need to borrow from the next door. So that becomes 17, right? From 17, when you deduct 9, that becomes 8, right? Now, what we have here, children, do we have 6 now? No, we do have 5 now. From 5, we deduct 4, it gives me 1. So that before moving to that, the next question, I want to double check whether I subtracted it correctly. Yes. Take a few seconds. 14 minus 7. Yes. So then the 17 minus 9. I'm fine. Yes, it is correct. So therefore, I write the answer here, 187. Right. So then the next question, two methods, we do have two methods. The textbook, it explains one method, and I prefer to have the other method, which I don't prefer to have the method which you see in the textbook, because when it comes to the sum fractions, that there can be confusions. Therefore, what is the method I am following, children? I convert all the mixed numbers into improper fraction. How? 2 times 1, 2. So you multiply these two numbers. 2 times 1, 2, plus 1. It gives you 3 over 2, right? So then 3 times 3, 9. 9 plus 1, 10, right? Now you can't add them easily because you have two different denominators. What you do, you quickly find the LCM of 2 and 3. So then we know it is 6. So then what I do, I write here with the denominator 6 and here with the denominator 6. Okay. How can I convert 2 into 6, children? Multiplying by 3. 3 times 3, 9. So how can I convert 3 into 6? Multiplying by 2. 2 times 10, 20. So then I'll move here as I don't have enough space and I use an arrow for that. Put the equation mark, draw the big line and write 6 here. So then 9. Give me a second, so then something. So then here I write 9 plus 20, right? So that is 29 over 6, right? So then the 29 over 6, I come here. So then the 6 times 4, 24, with the 5 remainder. How I'm going to keep the final answer? 4, 5 over 6. I double check. 2 times 1, 2, 2 plus 1, 3, 3 times 3, 9, 9 plus 1, 10, then 2 times 3, 6, 3 times 3, 9, 3 times 2, 6, 2 times 10, 20, 9 plus 20, 29, 6 times 4, 24, 5 remainder. Okay, my answer is correct. You can see that we have 3 marks for this question. So then you should understand that we need to fight sometimes when we a child who's watching this video, that you're not familiar with the steps, right? That especially a child who has done the abacus and all, that you take everything in mind. But Pute, I recommend for you also, please follow the steps. Otherwise, you are going to lose when it comes to the examination too. Because in the O-level examination, we do have marks for the steps. So then we will move to the next one. How many 1/5 are there? So what does it mean? How many 1/5 are there in 8? So then what is the method of finding this? Okay, so then my screen gets stuck. Give me a second. Right. Okay. So then how many 1/5 are there? So then you want to find that if the how many halves are there, how do you identify this? So we know it is what? So how do you find how many halves are there? So then you find that the half, that the one, let's say 1 loaf of bread, that you are going to divide it by 2. So then how many pieces you will be getting? So then you have how many 1/5 are there with this, right? That here, if it is the halves, what we are going to do, right? Here, that you want to have, if you take 8, how many 1/5 are there, right? Right. So then here, what we need to do, children, that we are going to divide 8. I'll show it like this. 8 divide by 1/5, right? Can you remember what we did when we have a question like this? So 8 over 1 divide by 1 over 5. When you have the division, that first what we need to do, you want to convert the division into multiplication and 5 over 1. Now, 8 times 5, 40, and 1 times 1, 1. So then how many? So then the 1/5 are there, 40, right? The same way I asked that how many halves are there in something. So you want to divide that whole number by the fraction they have given. Okay, so then we will move to the question number 9. This is from your directed number lesson. So then when you have the different signs, you want to get the difference of the numbers. Keep this the rule in your mind. When you have the different sign, you want to get the difference of the numbers. 2 and 6 difference, it is 4. And you want to use the sign of the higher digit. When you compare 2 and 6, Pute, 6 is the higher digit now. I'm not telling the number here, the value, the digit. You just consider the digit, 2 and 6. If I compare negative 2 and positive 6, sometimes the value will be changing now. I'm considering here just the digit when I compare 2 and 6. 6 is the bigger digit. Bigger digit is having the positive value. And then I write positive 4. You can just write 4 without writing positive, right? And this is not the real way we want to think that when it comes to the number line, right? You know that. So then when you have the same sign, negative 3 and negative, you add the numbers. You add the numbers, 3 and 4, when you add 7, and it should be negative 7. You use the same sign. If you have different signs, I repeat, you get the difference of the numbers and use the sign of the higher digit. When you have the same signs, you just add them and use the sign that both the numbers are having. Then the next one, here you have two signs closer and you multiply them first. Positive times negative, it becomes negative, right? Then you rewrite the question, 3 minus 2, the answer is 1. Then here that we know, you can rewrite this negative 7 and positive 7, that you have the different signs here. You want to get the difference of the numbers. 7 and 7, the difference is 0. You don't want to worry about the sign here because 0 doesn't have any sign, right? So I repeat the learning points of this question. If you have the different signs, you want to get the difference of the numbers. 2 and 6, the difference is 4. And you use the sign of the higher digit. If you have the same sign, you add the numbers and use the sign that both the numbers were having. And here you have the two signs closer. You want to convert them into one sign. How you are going to convert the closer two signs into one sign? You multiply the signs. You know that when you multiply a positive value by a negative value, it gives you a negative. Then you use that negative sign and do the operation. 3 minus 2, it is 1. And that here you have different signs. Different signs, you want to get the difference. 7 and 7, that no difference, 0. For 0, we don't want to worry about the sign. A girl buys an eraser costing 30 pence and a pencil costing 58 pence. If she pays with a £2 note, how much change does she get? So then first you write that you want to understand that the £2 is what? £2 is 200 pence. First you want to identify that. So then you write cost of an eraser, right? So then you write cost of a pencil, right? Quickly you write them, and then here, so then 30 pence, and you have 58 pence. So then when you add them together, 88 pence, right? So then that's your total cost. So balance she paid and balance she gets, she paid 200 pence, total cost 88 pence. The balance she get, or the change or the balance, so she gets, how you are going to calculate like this, right? So then she bought an eraser 30 and a pencil 58, it's 88, and she paid 200 pence. The answer is 112 pence. Okay, right. Children, I thought to discuss the whole part one in this video, but as I took a little time for the explanation and what kind of plan we are having for the paper discussion, because this is the first time you are watching sometimes my past paper discussions. So because the last 2 years that when I was releasing the papers, you were in the junior school, no, or primary school, no, so then you don't know this. So this is the first time you came across with the past paper discussion with me sometimes. Therefore, I wanted to give you an explanation. With that, we had to take some time and we don't have time to explain these. Therefore, I will release the answers for the next 10 questions in a separate video as a part 2, and then we will discuss the part 2 of this paper itself. So that means there will be 3 videos for this paper, right? Other papers, there will be the 2 videos straight away, because after watching this, you know how I'm conducting this past papers discussion session and you have an idea. So straight away you can watch this. But that this time I took a time, little bit more time to explain you the things, and you just see what kind of answer sheet now I'm having. See, so then this kind of thing that you have done a lot. So then the teacher will be happy. Okay, so this child has done a lot with the that you want to show the neatness, workings, everything. You just see that I'm pretty sure if I submit this answer for marking, I'll get 5 out of 5 for the handwritings too, because I have done it in a neat way, right? So, okay, children, we'll meet again with the second part of this paper. So this is 2024 March 2000, March first semester examination, grade 6 past paper. Okay, children, keep in touch. I'll come back to you with the part 2 and part 3.